Hello, Internet. Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our latest discussion of the Amazing Race Season 34 finale. Talk all about, break it all down. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can click our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends, and let everybody know what's going on. Obviously, it's been a great show for us. We have had a lot of great feedback, a lot of comments. I appreciate all that. So definitely keep them coming. And obviously, thanks for being with us all season. And obviously, look forward to whenever the next Amazing Race comes out. So let's go ahead and bring in the co-host of the show here, Jessica. Jessica, welcome.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. Obviously, we'll have our Amazing Race coverage here for the finale. We'll have our next Survivor coming out as well. Then we'll have the Survivor finale coming out around the first of the year. Ish, give or take, around the first of the year for the Survivor finale. Because obviously a 3-hour episode. Gotta watch it, break it down, and get ready to talk about it. So, but subscribe so you get everything. You get it right away. You don't have to worry about it. And you have to search for it or waiting for it to come out or looking for it or missing it. It'll be right in your feed when we do put it out. So, all right. All that being said, let's talk about this finale.
Okay, we can talk about it.
All right. So obviously last season, season 33, we were both jump up and down, really pumped for the finale. This one a little more subdued. Not as pumped about the winners, but we'll talk about it. They did a really good job. I'm gonna make a comment here a little bit later on about how I felt, but I'll let Jessica start with kind of the whole episode as a whole. How did it go?
All right, breaking down the episode. So we start out with route info, whiskey business.
Mm-hmm. And where did they go to? Where's the final city?
In Tennessee. They were in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's exciting. I have not been there yet, but I hope to go at some point soon.
Definitely soon.
So as everybody knows, whiskey, Jack Daniels, all around that area. So they had to go to a plant and they had to put labels on bottles and it would go down a conveyor. So one team member would put the labels. It would go down a conveyor. Someone would check it. If it was bad, they would take it off. Each team had to label which bottle was theirs. If it made it through the inspection, the next team member would fill up boxes. They had to fill up so many, I think it was 2, but so many boxes. Was it? Okay. They had to fill up so many boxes and then get a check, and then they would get their next clue for the next route info, or roadblock, actually.
Yeah, the roadblock was next. Yep, and what was that?
So they had to go to, gosh, I forgot to look it up. They had to climb a bridge. It was a Korean memorial bridge or something like that, I think it was called. Yeah.
Yep.
And they had to climb the bridge to the top, which was very high. They had to find a pick in a guitar case, which they just went up there. There's a guitar case, so a lot of people were confused until they opened it.
Why is the random guitar case there?
Well, right. It's there for a purpose, but it is Tennessee, so you never know. But open the guitar case, take out a pick. The pick had the name of the next location that they had to go to, which is failing me at the moment. Gibson.
Garage.
Thank you. Yes. They had to go there for their next clue, route info.
They had to rappel down.
Then they had to rappel down after
they
got the pick, and yep, exactly. From there, they went to Gibson's garage. They had to get 3 guitars. Mm-hmm. They had to deliver the guitars to musicians at different bars on Broadway. Mm-hmm. So it was, the one that you went to.
Wild Horse.
Mm-hmm. They were all ones that I've definitely heard of, more popular ones. I'm sorry, I did not write those down. But they delivered it basically to somebody that was standing outside. At each location, they would each get a different wristband of a different color, both teammates. And once they got their third one, they got their clue to their next location, which was the Municipal Auditorium. And this was the final task of the leg until they got their information to the finish line. Mm-hmm. At the auditorium, it was keys to success. So there was a string band playing of the Amazing Race theme song. And then there were giant keyboards on the floor, kind of like in the movie Big, if you've seen that movie before, where there's keys. You can play it like the piano. It's piano keys, and you play it with your feet. Mm-hmm. They had to hit the buttons to see images. They had to put the images in order of the legs that they were through, and then they had to play it within like 11 seconds of pressing the start button to play the song, and from that they would get their final clue, their final pit stop, if you will.
Yeah, the finish line, absolutely. And the thing was, it was obviously 11 images, and they had to put them in order. They saw them obviously on the race of the clue, right? And they had 11 seconds to do 11 images. So a lot of teams were having issues because they were like, well, you run the first half, I run the second half, and they had to go run back and forth basically across the keyboard. There's no way you're gonna have time to do it. You basically have to be able to go tap, tap, tap every second.
Yeah, they had to divide the keyboard, not the number of legs.
Exactly.
Also, each team had different images, so you had to be able. So you couldn't look off of somebody else, and everybody had different images to go off of.
So it was cool. And it took everybody several times to do it. Obviously, it was really difficult. And it's like one of those ones where it's the which I like. It's the kind of the cumulative test at the end, right? Here's all the different things you've seen. What do you remember from it? And the teams who noted to do that. It's one that I really love to do. Have them do for one of the finales, whatever. Is have them all the pit stops be like a scenic location, and then see how they remember about that scenic location or something. It's like, oh, here's the top of the this pyramid. And they kind of a question about what they saw when they were there, because it gives them a chance to take it in, the scenery, instead of just I'm here to run the race. It gives you a minute to actually take in the culture or something, or the culture or something, just something different, which I like. But I do love when they do the cumulative test at the end. They don't always do what they usually do, and it's just kind of okay, here's all, or even a quick test of all the different tasks you did, or just something kind of big big finish. And obviously they incorporate the final city into it a lot too, which they did in this case too, which I really liked.
Yeah, I think it'd be too hard to have them slow down to take in what they're seeing, because they are racing. So unless if it's the pit stop's a little different, but if it's a mega leg kind of thing, that's kind of the only one. But yeah, I mean, throughout the legs they can't really slow down to take in what they're doing.
No, that's, I guess I kind of mean more like if they get to the pit stop. At each pit stop, kind of a question about the scenery that's at the pit stop, and they do that a lot too. They do the dress of the person who's there, or whatever. So I do really like that stuff, and it's. I
mean, that could have been one of the pictures they showed, because they dressed the people, so that could have been one of the locations.
Yeah, for sure. And they had the vehicle they drove in, whatever. Yeah. So I said overall, I'm not complaining by any means. I definitely love when they do that, and it's always a unique way to kind of incorporate where they ended up.
Yeah.
Right into the if they're enough for the final city, kind of what that city's I guess known for, whatever, mm-hmm. And last season I don't remember where was it LA maybe, but they were at a tennis court and they had to kind of do a tennis somewhat,
Yeah, it was LA, because we kept thinking it was the new Rams stadium, but it was a soccer stadium.
Right, exactly, the LA Galaxy stadium. Right. So
yes, sir.
And then obviously they did tennis there instead, anyways, which is weird, but.
So that was easier. I really think with this piano thing added a whole other element of making it harder, because unless you play musical instruments, and I mean, I've played music, I've read music course and everything else, but I don't know piano, so that wouldn't have worked out for me to memorize that way. So Derek and Claire got that easier because he played the piano. The other people didn't have such a easy time at doing that. Yeah. I think Emily and Molly, one of them, I think played the piano too, but they didn't say it.
Yeah, and obviously, that's what Luis and Michelle were saying the whole time, that they like to dance, they dance, but they don't play instruments.
Yeah, they're musically inclined, but they don't know instruments. Yeah, reading music.
So, anyways, then where was the final? So they had the clue, right, to go to the final pit stop, mm-hmm. or I guess in this case not the final pit stop, but the finish line, right? And they got the clue from the playing the piano, right, mm-hmm. and took them to the pit site, which was at the Ryman.
Okay. The Grand Ole Opry?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Ryman Auditorium.
Okay. Because when they said that, I was like, I thought it's the Grand Ole Opry. I didn't know it's called Ryman Auditorium.
Ryman Auditorium.
Okay, yes. That makes sense. I would have said Grand Ole Opry, and then I thought I was going to be wrong.
No,
so.
It was right. It's just the Ryman hosts the Grand Ole Opry. Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. So, obviously, it's just the most iconic place in Nashville to go, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And,
as were the bars that they went to on Broadway.
Oh yeah, it was a very Nashville thing. I was saying it seemed like it was kind of obviously once I got down to the actual strip on Nashville, it was busy, but it seemed like there was no traffic, which was something's weird.
Yeah.
Must be during COVID.
I know, and I know you're in a race, but there's no need to be rude to people. They don't know what's going on.
Oh, I know, and I love I love when like Emily and Molly, we're gonna raise $1 million. Can I use your phone? He's like, I guess here.
Yeah, it's funny. Two girls walking up to a guy in like a random random alleyway in the middle of the night. Can I use your phone? I'm in a race. Okay.
Are you on drugs? Like, let's,
Exactly.
and it's funny too because I remember this was several years ago at this point when Bethany Hamilton. I'm trying to say the word.
I think so.
Bethany Hamilton, the girl who got her arm bit off with a shark.
Yes.
Yeah. So she was on the race with her boyfriend, husband, soon to be or whatever, and I remember they were like getting close to the end, and they were one of the teams that were doing really well the whole race, and they actually were leading, and they got to like the finale, and there was like one more task at the end. They had to stop and get directions, and the guy knew who she was. It's like, can I get a picture with you, my daughter, blah blah blah. She's like, yeah, can you give me directions first? And they ended up finishing second because of that. They ended up not winning because they got a little bit held up because, of course, they come back to the U.S. and the guy knows her, and knows who she is, and they're like, oh, my daughter's a huge fan, blah blah blah. Like,
you're like, listen, come find me after here.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna be? I'll find you.
Yeah. So it's kind of how I felt with obviously it was a little different with Molly and Emily, but it was kind of like, can you help us or not? Yeah. If not, we're gonna move on.
You're just gonna keep staring, or
right? Can I get your phone? Like, yes or no? Right. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Say yes or no.
Yes,
check yes to no. I think that's a country song.
Probably. Oh, and then the cool thing too was, by the way, when they went to the Gibson, right? The Gibson garage.
Yeah.
They had two-time Amazing Racers. It was Catherine and oh my gosh.
You just said
I just said their names a minute ago.
Oh.
The country girls from the Amazing Race. They're on 22 and 24. They're on 22, and then they're on the All-Stars on 24. It was
descendants of John Wayne and Daniel Boone, you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We can move on.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember them.
I don't remember their names. Of course, I'm terrible with names. But they were on there, and they they got to give them the clue there, which was fun.
Mm-hmm. They probably live out there.
They do.
Their country
they do.
Like singers, so.
For sure. And I remember they had one of the other finales. They were in Chicago, and it was they had to actually go to Wrigley to get a clue. And two Amazing Race couple who won were there, and they gave them the clue.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was Cindy and Ernie. They won, and they gave them the clue in Chicago. That was cool. Yeah. So, anyways, so kind of delaying saying what happened, but
so you're rambling on.
But
trying to get the train back on the track.
No, but it's also because I'm trying to avoid having to say what happened at the end.
Discuss. Well, I can say what happened at the end.
Go ahead.
So. You kind of hinted towards the beginning, and I hate when you do that when we watch stuff because you say the edits, who's got the winner's edit, which is annoying, and you need to stop this. So, not surprisingly, Derek and Claire finished the keyboard first, but Emily and Molly finished it pretty quickly after them. So, I was hoping it was going to be a foot race, but we know Emily's leg is hurt, her knee. Yeah, exactly. So, who won the Amazing Race this year? Derek and Claire.
Yeah. Team BB.
Yes. So, you don't really hear the super enthusiasm in my voice. They were definitely, despite even my winner pick still being there, I would have been fine with the other team. They were, like you said, they were my third that I wanted to win. They deserved to win. Yeah, they did well. They did a lot of things well. But just not my favorite couple. I'm not big on Team Big Brothers for any of the seasons. So
you like Nick and Vic, but that was about it.
And that was like a real exception. I'm not really sure what about them I liked. I don't know. They were fun. I guess I identified with them as friends growing up or like people I've known and stuff. They remind me of somebody I knew. But
Jason Momoa?
Huh?
Jason Momoa?
No, not Jason Momoa. But yeah, so Derek and Claire won. Molly and Emily actually came in second. Mm-hmm. And then Team Miami, my winner picks, came in third. Yeah,
they got really far. They actually got out kind of quick, and then they just fell really behind on the bridge challenge. And then just really, they were pretty much in it. And then they messed up the the piano challenge pretty bad.
I mean, they just struggled. It's not that they messed up
Yeah.
with it. They struggled really hard with that one.
And Emily and Molly made a lot of bad made the wrong turn a bunch,
many
missed
bad
the
turns.
missed the parking lot. I mean, just so many things. And Derek and Claire really ran a pretty flawless leg.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I did.
And it's their fourth win, so they had the most of anybody.
Yeah.
And it was very competitive, very close.
Yeah.
Very good season overall. A lot of teams that were in it and did a good job. And just Derek and Claire they ran the most. I think I'm gonna say this right now. Who do I have as my number one after the first couple weeks?
Molly and Emily.
No,
Oh, no, Michael and Marcus.
no,
Team Miami.
no.
You're number one. Who?
Derek and Claire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Derek and Claire were my number one for the first couple weeks because they started off really strong and then they kind of fell aside and they bumped back up again and they fell aside again
You mean
in the power
for
rankings.
the show? Yeah.
Power rankings.
I was thinking about who you were liking.
Oh, no,
after
no.
So often. Yeah.
No, and I said of the final 5 teams, Derek and Claire were the 4th team I wanted to see win. Of the final 5 teams, but it is what it is. They were overall they won the last 2 legs. They won the first leg. They won one in the middle. Then they won the last 2, and they really were a solid team. I mean, there's really nothing you can say that they were bad at.
No, I say you can't deny that they were good. They were definitely good. I give them credit for how well that they got through this entire one.
Mm-hmm.
I did make the comment she didn't have to be so mean to people on Broadway. There's no need to actually yell at people. Like, just say excuse me and keep shimmying. But they did well. I'm not going to say they didn't. They did deserve to win it today.
And the other team we loved last time was funny Team Big Brother that won a few seasons ago as well, which you didn't love either, right?
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Her name was Jessica. Yeah, no, I was not happy with that one either.
Yeah, I know. So
I was way for the Olympians with that one, the 2 Olympian women together. I wanted them to win.
Same.
But I don't watch Big Brother. I mean, I'm not huge on, reality shows like this. So it's hard for me to get into that. Plus, they've already had experience being on TV, so it's kind of like, they had that too, which I guess kind of is annoying.
For sure. And, Emily and Molly would have been the 4th ever all-woman team to win, but it just didn't happen. And
It would have been a great end to their story.
for sure. And that's what I said. I mean, I looked at the edit and I said that they gave the best recap of the season to Derek and Claire. And then second was Team Miami, and third was Emily. And it was all about that still.
Emily.
For like,
Emily and Molly.
I know.
They have 2 names.
And 3 working knees. So they had, and they just the last 6 episodes it was about her knee. It was about and that was the whole storyline. It got away from, and we were both tearing up at the end when they talked about how they got the got to do the and feel us. Anybody else tearing up? We're like, yes, us.
A lot of people were, which was good. But the whole thing, like, you kept saying they were turning into her knee, but also they were showing that she never gave up. She kept pushing. She said she was doing it for her daughter. So, like, yeah, that also became part of the story besides them just reuniting. But, like, they didn't give up at all, and they made it to the final 3. I mean, they beat Michael and Marcus, who were on top for so long. Like, you can't say they didn't do well.
Well, of course, I'm not saying they didn't do well. I hated their edit.
Their show, yeah.
I hated their edit. I hated the last half. The last half, it was just instead of them talking about all the things they got to experience together and all the and all the time they missed out, it was spent way more time talking about the injury, which we get it.
Yeah, but they did. It's not that they didn't. They just didn't talk about it for us to all see what they had to say about it.
That's what I mean. It was the edit.
I mean, it's whatever. They still had that experience, though. And
no, I would have liked them to talk more about that.
I'm sure they'll do something.
I would love to. I said, after episode 2 or 3, I said I'd love to see them have a show together where they experience world together. That'd be really awesome. They can bring the one's daughter or son along and do it, and that'd be great. But
I think they both have kids, don't they?
I think the one's married, the one's single. But
one's just single mom.
Yeah.
So
either way, though, I said I'd love to see that. Because they're awesome couple people, and I'd love to see them experience the world together. They'd be really fun to see, and we did. I just didn't like how the last half of the edit, but regardless, I liked them as a team. I thought they did a great job. They just said they made too many mistakes, and especially when you're a little bit hobbled, you're not gonna be able to, outrun another team. You gotta really be a lot more flawless than that, and they really didn't
know where you're going and pay attention to your directions and where you're going and road signs, especially like being in Tennessee. Now there's no excuse. You're back in your home country at this point, so
no language barrier shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
For Michelle and Luis, I think it was just really they had some really good legs. They had some legs that weren't as good. And they, really since the second or third episode, Derek and Claire really didn't have any bad legs, whereas
Emily did.
Now who's making the jokes?
Because you say that stuff all the time while we're watching.
I know.
So of course it comes to my mind.
And as I said, really, Derek and Claire were the most consistent from like the fourth week on. They really, whereas even Michelle and Louise they won 3 legs in that time frame, but they also had some, near the bottom and then, near the top where they were a little more fluctuating, where Derek and Claire were pretty steady, in the top 2 or 3 for the most part.
But towards the end, Team Miami, that's when they started winning anyway, so it didn't fluctuate all that much. Like went from 1 to 2 to maybe 4, but
yeah,
like not much. They got into their stride towards the end.
They did.
I really think, the biggest thing today was the end task. And towards the beginning, she was messing up with the whiskey bottles a little bit, and then I think they got slightly lost too when they had to find the guitars. But besides that, like the end really got them.
Yeah, and it was funny because Molly and Emily were the first ones out with whiskey stuff. They were in first place after that. So it was a good. So there was really 3 or 4 good, really 5 final 5 were all pretty solid teams, and they it was a matter of who's gonna survive in advance, against these 5 teams, and it gets down to the final 3. And they said the reason I thought Michelle and Louise were gonna win is because they were, like you said, they were peaking at the right time, but Derek and Claire did have the best, probably the best 2 legs of the race, the last 2 legs. They won the second last leg, and then they won the last leg. So they really, they both teams peaked, I would say, and it was just a matter of who's gonna outlast and who's gonna make one last mistake than the other team.
Yes, however, the whole series doesn't matter because the last episode is the only thing that matters for them 3. Like they said, this is the only leg that matters. So regardless that they did a flawless last week, they did pretty damn good today, and that's all that they needed.
And that's really it. They worked out whatever bugs or whatever, they figured it out, and they like you said, Derek and Claire were peaked, and so Michelle and Louise were peaking, and it was just a matter of who's gonna. That's really what it was. It was like these 2 teams are both strong right now. They're both running hot. Who's gonna have the best last leg? And it was who's gonna make one last mistake.
Yeah,
and that's all it was.
Say the whole show is just a journey to get to the last one that matters. Absolutely. The rest don't even matter really.
Just survive. That's it. For sure. Just don't be last until the end, and then be first. That's it. Yep. That's it. You only gotta win 1. That's it. But they won 4. So.
Yeah. That helps. That's nice.
Definitely.
Not gonna turn that down, but
for sure.
Yeah.
Other than that, so that's the end of season 34. It's funny because I looked up is season 35 airing or whatever. I was kind of looking to do a little research, and of course it said the first thing I type in is season 35, and it comes up casting. So there's casting for season 35 right now. No idea if and when it's going to air. I assume it's going to air at some point. I would say probably a year from now. I would say probably next spring would be when it airs. It takes about a month or so of actually being on the race. And then you have the pre-stuff, the post-stuff, and all and editing, all that. So that'd be my best guess. But obviously if they haven't cast it yet, it could even be even 16 months from now for all we know.
We could even be on it.
You never know, Jessica. You never know. So
yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm not really thinking about it, but maybe a little bit.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know. You have to do all the height stuff though.
Great. We're gonna lose. But it'd be more fun. It'd be fun to travel and see the world and have some fun. So, other than that, anything else, Jessica?
I don't think so.
Well, thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for taking the lead on all this and being the narrator of the race, and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I have to be here so you don't talk too much.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, and thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all the comments, feedback, and everything like that. You can, of course, still subscribe so you get more of next season. Of course, all the other stuff we do with Survivor and all the other things. Subscribe on YouTube. Pavement Road Productions on YouTube. Pavement Road Productions at gmail.com is our email address. Shoot us some emails. Let us know what you thought. Give us some comments for next season. And, obviously we're always looking for comments, feedback, and even the occasional guests here and there, perhaps. So definitely let us know what you think. And like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Prod on Facebook. Anything else?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. I will be now watching all of my Christmas movies. I have only a couple weeks to go for that.
Yes.
But
you got like 27 more Christmas movies to watch in like 12 days, so we better get going.
Yep.
But we have the Survivor finale next week. Other than that, we're pretty much open. So
this is true.
So
I look forward to it.
we can do it.
Yeah.
In a couple days, I'll come up too, which will be nice.
Awesome. Take care of yourself and one another. Jerry Springer. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, all right, Jerry, calm down.
I know.
Enjoy the rest of your 2022. We'll see you for Survivor soon. Until next time.
Safe travels.
Safe travels.